Hello everybody and welcome to this week's YouTube yoga session. I hope you can hear me okay. I have got a bit of a croaky voice, so I've got water and tissues ready if I need them. But I hope you're all well and you've had a good week and you're ready to grab what you need, which is a tie or a strap and also a yoga block or substitute. So if you grab those things, and then it's time to settle down and release into the support of your mat. So either in Shavasana with your legs stretched out, or in semi-supine position with your knees bent and your feet on the floor. And then just take a few moments to give yourself a personal weather report. It can help to close down your eyes and notice how you're feeling right now. Taking your awareness to your mind first of all, and without judgment, just become aware of how your mind is feeling right now. Is it racing or is it starting to feel relaxed? Are you feeling sunny internally, or are you feeling a little rainy and overcast? And then notice how your body feels. Any areas of tension or discomfort, but also any areas of relaxation and ease. And then pay attention to your breath without altering it at all, just noticing the inhalation and the exhalation, whether they are equal in length or if one is longer than the other. Just noticing, just being aware without judgment or criticism. I think that many of us come to yoga to find ways to let go of tension, both physically and mentally. And so that's going to be our theme for today's lesson, and I'd just like to share with you what Melody Beattie has to say on the subject. Too often, out of sheer habit, we tighten up, tense up, and then approach life from that stance. When we have something to do, our automatic response may be to tense up, shoulders and neck strained, back bent and cramped, breathing shallow. But anything that needs to be done can be done better if we're relaxed. Periodically throughout the day, take a few moments to check your tension level. If you find any part of your body tense, take a few moments to consciously relax that part. Visualize warmth and ease flooding any part of your body that has become tight or is in pain. Let the tension, the stress, the blocks drain out from top to bottom. Your body wants to relax. It wants to become comfortable. It wants to heal itself. Empty your mind of tense thoughts and let it follow your body into relaxation and calm. Allow your mind to become still. Quietly accept each thought, then release it. Breathe in comforting, healing energy. Breathe it into your mind, into each cell of your body. Breathe out stress, strain, discomfort and fear. Don't resist what you are feeling or thinking. Accept it, then release it. Just as water cannot pass naturally through a pinched hose, your vital life force cannot flow freely through you if you are cramped and tense. Honour the life force that is in you, that flows through you. Honour it by relaxing, opening to it, and inviting it to surge through your body. So I think that's an important reminder for all of us. And in today's practice, we're going to be looking for ways to let go of tension in our bodies, in our minds, and in our breath. So we're going to begin by having a nice long stretch out along the length of your mat, maybe stretching away through your fingertips, through your toes, enjoying that sensation, and then coming back to rest with your legs stretched out now, if you can, along the length of your mat. And then the next time you're ready to breathe in, I'd like you to take your arms up and overhead, reaching away towards the wall behind you. And I'd like you to take the fingers of your right hand and wrap them around your left wrist. And then keeping your pelvis where it is, see if you can move your upper body, your shoulders and your head, and use your right arm to guide your left arm over to the right of your mat. And then see whether you can move your feet over to the right side of your mat. You might even be able to cross your left ankle over your right ankle. So you're making a sort of crescent moon shape or a banana shape, bending round to the right. Feeling probably quite a strong opening down the left side of your body, all the way from your left wrist down towards your left ankle. And then uncrossing your ankles if you've had them crossed, letting go of your left wrist, move yourself back to a central position, and then take the same movement over to the other side. So this time, you're going to take your left fingers around your right wrist and just ease your shoulders, your head, and your arms and your hands over to the left. And then see if you can walk your feet round to the bottom left corner of your mat. Maybe you can cross your right ankle over your left ankle. So you're this time feeling a stretch down the right side of your body, all the way from your right wrist down to your right ankle. And we're just going to stay here for about the same length of time. And then you're going to let go of your wrist, walking your body back into a nice central position, bending your knees one at a time, bringing your feet to rest on your mat. Arms down by your side for now. Take a breath in here and then exhale, bringing your right knee in towards your chest. You can interlace your fingers over the top of your right shin, and we're just going to do a few rounds of bending and pointing the right ankle. So putting the toes back towards your face in flexion, and then pushing the toes away towards the wall in front of you into extension. So just do that a few times before you pause and then take that movement into a rotation of your right ankle joint, going round in one direction first of all, and then reversing it into the opposite direction. And whilst you're doing that, just keep rooting down through both shoulders, through both sides of your pelvis. And then you can come back to stillness. You can release your hands from your shins, grab hold of your tie or your strap, wrap it around the ball of your right foot, and then on an inhalation, take that right leg up towards the sky, putting the toes back towards your face so that the sole of your foot is parallel with the ceiling. Now, like we did last week, you can either stay here, or you might be comfortable to send your left leg down along your mat, but that's just optional. You might like to keep hold of your tie and see if you can draw little circles with your right foot. So still keeping that flexion in the right ankle, just circling in one direction and then taking the movement back in the opposite direction. So just further mobilizing the hip joint and then coming to stillness. If you've had your left leg stretched out, bend your left knee, bringing that foot to the floor, release your right foot, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So taking a breath in, then exhaling, bringing the left knee in towards the chest, wrapping your hands around your left shin, and then bending and extending the left ankle. Really important to keep the ankle joint flexible and mobile. So when you've done a few rounds of extending and bending, you can then take that movement into a rotation, going round in one direction to begin with, and then taking it back into the opposite direction. And then when you've finished, you're going to take your tie and you're going to loop that around the ball of your left foot. Extend your left leg up towards the ceiling. Keep just gently pulling the toes back towards your face. You can keep your right knee bent or you can straighten that leg out along your mat. Just notice how that feels compared to the other side. And then you can either remain in stillness, or you might like to circle with the sole of your left foot. So you're just rotating nice and gently your left hip. Just mobilizing, lubricating that left hip joint. And then take it back in the opposite direction. So in yoga, we always try and bring as much balance as we can into our body. So if we move in one direction, we then do the same movement in the opposite direction. So come back to stillness. You can release your tie. You can bend your knee, bringing your left foot back down to the ground. You might like to press down into your feet and have a little wiggle to get yourself back into alignment again. And then from here, we're going to bring the soles of the feet together, allowing the knees to drop out to either side into our reclined cobbler pose. Remember, you can place blocks or cushions underneath your thighs or your knees if that gives you a little more support. And you might find that you need to do that under just one side. Just notice how that feels. If it's uncomfortable under your lower back, if your lower back lifts up here like mine does and that doesn't feel comfortable, then remember you can always put a folded blanket or a small cushion underneath your lumbar spine. And you can allow your hands to relax down on your abdomen, or you can take them out to the side, whatever feels most comfortable for you. And this is a beautiful position to allow some release. Just letting go of any tension, allowing gravity to gently work on your legs, on your hip joints. And just notice if you're gripping or holding anywhere. Maybe you're clenching your teeth, or maybe you're frowning. And if you are, just see if you can soften those areas and release. It can be really helpful to use the exhalation to release and let the knees drop down to either side a little further. So just take one more nice deep breath here, feeling the expansion in your abdomen as you breathe in. And then the slight retraction as you breathe out. And then bring your arms to either side of your thighs, just gradually easing your knees back together. Soles of the feet come to the floor. Maybe the lumbar spine rolls back down towards the mat. Then you can bring your knees in towards your chest. Rest your hands on the tops of your knees. You might like to give your knees a little circle here. Obviously that's moving the hips, but it's also massaging the base of your lower spine. The last few rotations, maybe take it round in the opposite direction before we get ourselves ready to come up to a seated position. So you can roll onto your side and push up, or you can cross your ankles over, grab hold of the outside edges of your feet, and then you might like to take a few rock and rolls to get yourself back up into seated. And today I'm going to suggest that you come into a wide-legged seating position. So just taking your legs out as far as is comfortable for you. You might want to just walk the buttock flesh back slightly, or you might like to place a sit bone underneath. You might like to place a folded blanket underneath your sit bones. So a wide-legged seated position, your heels are in contact with the floor and your toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. And from here, we're just going to extend the arms out in front of us, interlace your fingers so that your right thumb is on top. And then from here, you're going to take a lovely big breath in and then exhale to push your knuckles forwards. And then you're going to start rotating, bending your elbows, bringing your hands back as you draw a big circle with your hands. Now you might just want to use your hands to do this, or you might be able to involve the whole of your torso. So we could think of this as stirring a cauldron or churning the mill, whatever you like to use in your visualization, if that appeals to you. You might want to keep it as quite a slow movement, or you might want to speed it up, warming yourself up, bringing a little bit of energy into your practice. And then we're going to slow it back down, coming back to stillness, releasing the hands, noticing how that felt. It's quite a strong movement. And then we're going to take it back in the opposite direction. So you're going to take your arms out in front again. This time interlace your fingers with your left thumb on top, which for me feels like the more awkward version. Take a breath in. Exhale as you lean forwards, pushing your knuckles away, and then breathing in as you start to rotate in the opposite direction. So you might find this way a little trickier, or it might be a little easier. And as before, you can go as fast or as slowly as you wish. You can make the movement as small or as large as you like. It's your yoga practice, so you adapt it to suit you, your energy levels and your body today. So we're just going to do a couple more rotations and then coming back to stillness, just noticing how that feels. You might feel a little bit of energy or prana buzzing around your body. Just resting your hands on your thighs or your knees, lengthening up through the crown of your head, just noticing how you're feeling now. And then we're going to move into a lateral fold, a sideways fold. So we're going to bend the left knee and bring the sole of the left foot to rest somewhere along the inside of your right thigh. Now, if your left knee isn't comfortable here, then you can move your foot forwards, or you might like to place a block or a small cushion underneath your left knee. Just make it comfortable for yourself. So from here, we're going to inhale to lengthen upwards, and then we're going to fold sideways down the length of the right leg. So it might be that your hand comes to rest on your right knee or your right shin, or maybe you can reach down to the inside of your right foot. You might be able to take hold of your right toe, your right big toe, with your thumb, your index and your middle fingers. Your left arm is going to reach up and overhead just as far as you comfortably can. Now, our aim here is not to allow the chest to roll forwards. We're trying to keep a nice opening through the heart space here. We're going to stay here for one more breath. And then bringing that left hand back up and over, lifting up the torso, turning towards the left knee, bringing the hands to either side of the left knee, and without bringing the right sit bone off the floor, just fold forwards over the left knee any amount that you can, just as a small counter pose. Then push yourself back up so your spine is lengthening up towards the ceiling again, and we're going to take that movement to the other side. So you're going to take your left leg out, you're going to bend your right knee and bring the sole of your right foot to rest somewhere near the inside of your left thigh. You're going to bring your left hand to reach down along your left leg. So that might be on the left thigh, might be on the left shin, or maybe you can reach down to the inside edge of your left foot. Maybe you like to loop your left index and middle finger around your left big toe, closing that circle with your thumb, and then inhaling to reach your right arm up and overhead. So again, trying to keep the chest space open and not allowing the right shoulder to come forwards. Feeling a strong lengthening sensation down the right side of your body, anchoring down through the right sit bones, and then circling your right arm back up and over, letting go with your left hand, lifting your torso up to a neutral position, turning to face your right knee, bringing your hands down either side of your right knee, and then without lifting your left sit bone up, just bend your elbows and fold forwards towards your right knee, any amount that you can. Just a little counter pose before we press down into our hands, lifting ourselves back to an upright position. And then from here, you can bend the left knee again, just coming to a comfortable seated position before you swing your legs over to the side, and we're going to come to our tabletop position. So you might want to pad your yoga mat if you're practicing on a hard surface, and just start off by establishing your foundations. So it can be quite helpful to think of making a sort of square shape with your arms, your back, your thighs and your mat. So the heels of your hand are underneath your shoulders, your knees are underneath your hip bones, and your toes are extending back towards the wall behind you. Start off with, just take your gaze to look down between your thumbs, so that elongates the neck, which is part of your spine. And then from here, you're going to breathe in tilting your tailbone up towards the ceiling, allowing the belly to lengthen down towards the floor, letting that movement ripple along your spine and lifting your head forwards any amount that you can. And then when you're ready to exhale, you're going to tuck your tailbone under, drawing your navel up towards your spine and dropping your head down towards the floor gently. So keep going with that nice spinal extension in your cow pose. And then spinal flexion as you exhale to cat pose. Just going in time with your own breathing rate, your comfortable breathing rate, which might be faster than mine, or it might be slower than mine. Just taking one more round here. And then when you finish that round, we're going to walk our hands forwards and we're going to be coming down to crocodile. So if you need to move your padding to underneath your hip bones, if the floor is uncomfortable, then please do so. You're going to bend your elbows, bringing one hand to rest on top of the other, and then allowing your forehead to rest on the backs of your hands. I'll be lifting my head up just so that you can hear me a little clearer. But you have your forehead resting on the backs of your hands. Just make sure that your feet are hip width apart or wider. If you've got problems with your lower back, you might like to take them slightly further apart. Just make sure that your toes are all pointing away towards the wall behind you. And just notice how you feel. If you feel that your lower back and your hips are a little tight, you might like to give a little wiggle, a little shimmy, just to release any tension. And just notice how this position, how crocodile feels for your lower back, because already this is a slight back bend and you might decide this is where you want to pause. Or maybe you want to move into Sphinx pose. So to come into Sphinx pose, you're going to be pressing down through your pelvis, through your pubic bone. And then as you breathe in, you're going to lift up your head. You're going to move your elbows round. So your elbows will be roughly underneath your shoulders. You can keep your gaze down, looking down towards the space between your thumbs. Or if it's comfortable for your neck, you can look forwards towards the wall in front of you. And feel that it is fine if you want to release back down at any time, or you may wish to stay here for a little longer, thinking about opening up through your heart space, opening up down the front of your body. Maybe even thinking about shining your heart forwards. And then on an exhalation, when you're ready, moving your elbows round, coming back down into crocodile. Just taking a couple of breaths here. And you can stay here if that is more comfortable for you. Or you might like to take a breath in, lifting yourself back up to Sphinx position. The palms of the hands are on the floor. The elbows are bent underneath the shoulders. And you can stay here, or if it's comfortable for you to turn your head, you can breathe in here and then exhale to take your gaze slowly and gently over your right shoulder, looking round towards your right heel. Take an inhalation and then exhale back to the front. Take a breath in here and then exhale, taking your gaze over your left shoulder, looking round towards your left heel, just if that's comfortable for you. Take a breath in here. Exhale, come back to the front, Look down between your thumbs and then release yourself back down into crocodile. And just notice how that felt for you, how that felt for your lower back. And then I'm going to give you the option to come back up into Sphinx, or if it feels good for you, then you can move on into Cobra position. So taking a breath in, we're going to move the elbows round, lifting the head, lifting the heart space into Sphinx. So you're rooting down through your pelvis, through your pubic bone. Toes are reaching away towards the wall behind you. And you can stay here, or you can press down into your hands, lifting your chest up a little higher. We don't straighten the arms completely, we don't lock the arms. You're just lifting your head, lifting your chest, shining your heart space forwards. You might want to move your hands, you may want to move them slightly further back, or you might need to move them slightly further forward. Be different for everybody, depending on where you started from. But knowing that at any point you can release yourself back down, coming back down to Sphinx position, and then moving your arms round, one hand on top of the other, back into crocodile. Taking a few breaths here, releasing any tension in the glute muscles. We do tend to tense the buttocks when we're in Sphinx or Cobra. And then you're going to bring your hands underneath your shoulders. You're going to tuck your toes under and pressing down into your hands, walking your knees forwards, releasing your sit bones back towards your heels. If they don't reach, remember you can put a block or a cushion there. Bringing your forehead down towards the mat, or if it doesn't reach, on top of your stacked fists or on top of a block. And then taking your arms, reaching back towards the wall behind you, the palms are facing up towards the ceiling, into Balasana, into your child's pose. So Sphinx and Cobra are back bends, they are spinal extension. So to counterbalance that movement in the spine, we now come into child's pose, into spinal flexion. So see if you can fully release into the support of your mat. Allow your arms and your shoulders to become heavy. If your forehead is on your mat or a block, you might like to just gently roll it from one side to the other. That can feel very soothing and release any tension in your forehead. And just enjoying feeling supported, feeling safe, and releasing, softening into that sensation. And then we're going to bring the hands either side of the head, pressing down into your mat. And we're going to bring ourselves back up into our tabletop position, just briefly. So make sure again that the heels of your hands are underneath your shoulders, your knees are underneath your hip bones. And then you're going to step your right foot forward. So your right foot is going to come to land between your hands. Just make sure that your right foot and your left knee are on two separate lines. So you're on like the two lines of a railway line rather than a tightrope. Then you're going to press down into your foundations so you can lift your torso upwards. And then from here, you're going to bring your arms into a cactus arm position. So your upper arm is parallel with the floor. Your elbows are bent and your fingertips are pointing up towards the ceiling. Take a breath in here, looking forwards, finding your one spot gaze, and then exhaling to bring your hands and your forearms together. Inhaling, taking them out wide. Exhaling, bringing them together. Inhaling, taking them out wide. Exhaling, bringing them in together. Then you're going to release your hands back down to the floor. You're going to step your right knee back to join your left knee. You're going to pad your hands forwards, tuck your toes under, and then you're going to lift your sit bones up into downward facing dog. So just spend a few moments trying to even out the pressure between your hands and your feet so that it's nice and even, so you're not dumping all of your weight into your hands. Think about moving the heels down towards your mat. You might like to walk your dog, lifting your right heel up and pressing your left heel down, then lifting your left heel up and pressing your right heel down. So you're bending alternate knees. It doesn't matter if your heels don't reach the mat, we're just aiming them in that general direction. And then you're going to look forward towards your hands, bend your knees and tiptoe your feet on a tight walk now, up towards your hands. So you're going to end up in Uttanasana, standing forward fold. You might like to take opposite hand to elbow and just soften and release your upper body, giving into the force of gravity, nice and loose, nice and relaxed. Can feel good to have a little sway from one side to the other, just making sure you're letting go of any unnecessary tension. And then to come out of this pose, we're going to bend the knees generously, releasing the hands, rolling up one vertebrae at a time till you come back up to standing into Tadasana. I'm just going to turn around so that I'm facing you. So just make sure that you're standing with your feet roughly hip width apart. Your toes are facing forwards. You might like to have a little roll backwards and forwards. You might even come up onto your toes and then roll back onto your heels and lift your toes up. Maybe do that a couple of times. And maybe have a little sway from one side to the other until you come to stillness. And that just helps you to find your nice neutral position. You can turn your palms forwards, opening up through the chest, through the inner elbows, lifting up through the crown of your head, keeping your chin ever so slightly tucked, so the neck remains nice and long and open. Then from here, we're going to take a breath in, reaching up and overhead with the arms. See if you can wrap the fingers and thumb of your right hand around your left wrist. Take a breath in to lengthen upwards and then exhale as you fold over to the right. So keep pressing down evenly through both feet and notice the lengthening down the left side of your body. Press down into your feet and take a breath in as you lift yourself back up to a central position. Exhale, bringing the arms back down by your side. Might like to just give the shoulders a gentle roll back. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So breathing in, taking the arms up and overhead, wrapping the fingers of your right hand over the fingers of your left hand around your right wrist. Taking a breath in to lengthen upwards and then exhaling and folding over to the left. So keeping that even pressure down through both feet, opening up down the right side of the body, and then pressing down into the feet and inhaling to come back up to a central position, exhaling to release your arms back down by your sides. And then we're going to step the legs apart. Now, to find about the right distance, it can be helpful to think about them being one leg length apart, or you can take your arms out to the side, and this is where it can be helpful to be looking into a screen, to just check that your ankles are roughly underneath your wrist. Now that will be slightly different for everybody because our proportions will all be different, but just find the stance that feels most comfortable for you. So whether that's a leg length apart or ankles in line underneath wrists. Now from here, you're going to pivot on your right foot so that your right toes are facing the short edge of your mat. Your left foot is facing the long edge of your mat, or because we're going to be moving into Trikonasana, so do have your block ready, you might just want to move your left toes slightly further round towards your right foot. Not much, just a tad. Okay, now from here, we're going to take a breath in, sending the arms out either side. Think about lengthening upwards through the waist, breathing in as you do that, and then exhaling, we're going to fold over the right foot. The right hand might come to rest on your right thigh, it might come to rest gently on your right shin, or maybe you can bring your hand down to rest on the short edge of your block, or the long edge of your block, or maybe your block can come down flat. Now, with the hips, we're thinking about rolling the top hip, the left hip back, and the bottom hip forwards. As we take the left arm, reach those fingers up towards the sky. So some people find it quite useful to visualize practicing between two planes of glass. So we're not rolling the left shoulder forward, we're rolling the left shoulder up towards the sky. So it's a really big opening through the chest area. It's strong in your legs. And we're just going to stay here for one more breath. Trikonasana, triangle pose. Then bring your left hand back down. Bend your right knee as you press down into your right foot. Pivot on your right foot so both feet come to face the long edge of your mat again. And then you can heel toe your feet together. Give everything a little bit of a shake, and then we're going to do that on the other side. So if you remember, we started off in our tabletop position. So come down to that tabletop position just momentarily, and then you're going to step your left foot forward to land between your hands. Then you're going to press down into your foundations so your torso comes to an upright position. Find your drishti, your steady gaze. Then take your arms out to the side into your cactus arm position. Just pause here, make sure that you're feeling nice and strong and stable. Take a breath here and then exhale, bringing the hands and the elbows together. Inhale, taking them apart. Exhale, bringing them together. Inhale, apart. And just do that a couple more times. And then the next time your arms are in your cactus arm position, we're going to bring our hands down to either side of our left foot. Step the left knee back to join the right knee. Walk your hands forwards, tuck your toes under, and then lift your sit bones up and over. into your downward facing dog again. So once more, think about evening out your weight between your hands and your feet in your upside down V shape. Think about melting your heart back towards your thighs, lengthening down your spine. Just find the position that feels right for you. So feet still about hip width apart, hands still about shoulder width apart. And then we're going to take the gaze forward, bending the knees, walking the feet up towards the hands, coming into Uttanasana, our nice standing forward fold. Releasing tension in the upper body. Maybe this time you sweep your hands slowly and gently round from one side to the other before coming to stillness, bending your knees generously, rolling yourself back to an upright position, back into Tadasana. Just pausing here momentarily, just noticing how you feel. Just going to turn around so I'm facing you. And you're going to take a breath in, sweeping your arms up and overhead, interlace the fingers and push the palms of your hands up towards the ceiling this time. Take a breath in here and then exhale as you fold down to the right. Take a breath in here, coming back up to a central position and then folding down to the left. Pressing down into your feet, coming back up to your central position. Releasing your arms back down by your side. Might like to roll the shoulders back again. And then we're going to practice Trikonasana, our triangle pose on the other side. So, stepping your feet apart again into a wide-legged stance. So either one leg length apart, ankles underneath wrists, or whatever feels comfortable for you. This time you're going to pivot on your left heel. So the toes of your left foot are going to face the short edge of your mat to the left. Your right foot can either be facing the long edge of your mat, or I like to just turn my right foot in ever so slightly. And sorry, I should have mentioned, have your block ready for when you fold over to the left. So inhaling, taking the arms out to either side, just as if we were doing Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. Lengthening through either side, so reaching away with your fingertips. Taking a breath in, lengthening through your waist, and then exhaling to fold over to the right. And remember, this is going to look different for all of us. So the left hand might come to rest against your left shin, or it might reach down to the long edge of your block, the short edge, or the flat of your block. So keep reaching up with your right arm, sending your right fingertips up towards the sky, keeping the chest open by rolling the right shoulder blade back. Think about moving the left waist forwards and the right waist back. Pressing down into the soles of both feet, nice and evenly. And gaze wherever it feels most comfortable for you. So you might be able to look up at your right hand, or you might want to look forwards, or you may even prefer to look down at your left hand. So wherever feels good for you. And then to come out of the pose, bend your right elbow, bringing your right hand down. Bend your left knee. Press down into your feet, lifting your torso up. Pivot on your right foot. Heel toe your feet towards each other. Just giving everything a little bit of shake out. Shaking your hands, shaking your feet. Well done, everybody. We're going to get ourselves ready for Shavasana now. So if you would like to get some warmer clothes on and come down into whatever position is your preference for Shavasana. So you might like to remain seated, or you might like to lie down, either in a semi-supine position with your knees bent and your feet on the floor, or in the classic Shavasana pose where you've got your legs lengthened along the length of your mat. But it's up to you. You can be seated in a chair if that's what appeals to you today. Remember, we can have a different position on a different week. You don't have to stick to the same thing. Just listen to how your body feels today and do what feels best for you. So do make sure that you are warm and that you are comfortable. And the practice that I'm going to be sharing with you today is called Tense and Release. And the intention in this particular relaxation practice is to use the breath and a cycle of tense and release to induce relaxation and relieve the body of stress and tension. So if your legs are stretched out along the length of your mat, then allow the feet to fall slightly apart. Have the arms a little away from the body with the palms facing up. Tuck the chin to lengthen the back of the neck. And if you need to make any adjustments to your body, your position, your clothes, please do so until you are completely comfortable. Close your eyes or soften your gaze and let the tongue relax at the back of the bottom teeth. Soften the rib cage and become aware of your breath. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Notice the abdomen rising. Feel the lungs expanding. And as you breathe out, feel any cares and worries flow out of you. Don't try to change the rhythm. Allow the breath to be natural and effortless. If the mind wanders, and it will, push those thoughts to the periphery of the mind and return to the breath. Let go of what has happened and let go of what may happen in the future. Just be present in this moment without judgment. And you might like to take this opportunity to create a positive affirmation. You can choose one of your own, or if you would like a suggestion, you may like to use the positive affirmation, "With every breath, I feel myself relaxing." Repeat it to yourself silently or out loud if you wish. Now to begin, tighten the muscles in your forehead by raising your eyebrows as high as you can. Hold for a few seconds and then abruptly release, feeling the tension fall away. Now smile widely, feeling your mouth and cheeks tense. Hold for a few seconds and release, appreciating the softness in your face. Next, tighten your eye muscles by squeezing your eyelids tightly shut. Hold for a few seconds and release. Then very gently pull your head back slightly, as if to look at the ceiling. Hold for a few seconds and then release, feeling the tension melting away. Feel the weight of your relaxed head and neck sinking into the support of the earth beneath you. Breathing in and breathing out, letting go of any stress or tension. Now, tightly but without straining, clench your fists and hold this position for a few seconds and then release. Next, bend your elbows slowly to tighten your biceps. Feel the build-up of tension. You may even visualize that muscles tightening. Hold for a few seconds and release, enjoying the feeling of limpness. Breathing in and breathing out. Now tighten your triceps by extending your arms out and locking your elbows. Hold for a few seconds and release. Take your awareness to your shoulders and lift them up as if they could touch your ears. Hold for a few seconds and quickly release, feeling their heaviness. Tense your upper back by pulling your shoulders back, trying to make your shoulder blades touch. Hold for a few seconds and release. Tighten your chest by taking a deep breath in. Hold for a few seconds and then exhale, blowing out all the tension. Now tighten the muscles in your stomach by sucking them in. Hold for a few seconds and then release. Tighten your thighs by pressing your knees together as if you were holding a penny between them. Hold for a few seconds and release. Now flex your feet, pulling the toes towards you and feeling the tension in your calves. Hold for a few seconds and relax. Feel the weight of your legs sinking down. Curl your toes under, tensing your feet. Hold for a few seconds and then release. Now imagine a wave of relaxation slowly spreading through your body, beginning at your head and going all the way down to your feet. Feel the weight of your relaxed body. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And then return to the positive affirmation that you chose at the start of our relaxation practice. With every breath, I feel myself relaxing. Repeat it in your mind as you inhale. And then once the mantra is complete, exhale and visualize any remaining tension you may have melting away with the breath. And then you might like to very carefully roll your head from one side to the other, just gently introducing a little movement back into your neck area maybe wiggling your fingers and your toes. You might like to stretch out, maybe having a little yawny stretch and release before you bring your knees in towards your chest one at a time. Giving yourself a little hug before you slowly roll onto whichever side is most comfortable for you. You might like to fold your lower arm and place it like a pillow underneath your head. Heel on heel, knee on knee, and your top arm resting along your body. And you can remain here as long as you wish, just absorbing the goodness from your practice, just resting in this pose. Or whenever you're ready, you can push yourself up into a seated position, ready to share our mantra of peace. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace to you all, and peace to the world. Namaste. Thank you, everybody. I hope that was okay for you all, and I hope you enjoyed that relaxation. I find that a particularly useful way to relax, and sometimes we don't even realise what areas are feeling tense until perhaps we tense them a little more and then release them a little more. So I hope you found that beneficial, and thank you as always for joining me. Have a good week, and I look forward to hearing from you or seeing you again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.